Hey, how you all doing? So today's video, I've been meaning to do this video for a while now because I'm a big DC fan and I was a big fan of the Snyderverse, Zack Snyder's verse, what he did with it. And I really wanted DC to really do well. And now DC are going in a different direction, obviously. James Gunn is obviously taken over and it's been a long journey for Warner Brothers and the DCEU, or just DC in general. So I just want to start from the beginning, like the beginning where it kind of kicked off from, I think, and just go on this journey and just talk through it and just go, the ups and downs, because there were some ups, there was a lot more downs, and just the ups, let's just go through it, okay? Now, Marvin talks about film, television shows and filmmaking, all that kind of stuff. And if you're seeing my channel for the first time, please, if you like this video and like my channel, please subscribe to my channel. That'd be awesome if you'd like to do that. So yeah, so let's get into it, the DCU. So 2012, it was the end of Christopher Nolan's, trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, and I liked The Dark Knight Rises, and it was cool. When I look back of it, it did have small holes about it, so there were some things I weren't keen about it. But Christopher Nolan he done a great trilogy, he did, and you can't deny that. I do think Dark Knight is a bit overrated because I just have my reasons. I think it's a great movie, but I think for me it's not the best Batman movie. For me, I'm old school and people say, oh no way, but I still like Batman Returns. I like what Tim Burton done with it. Obviously, that was really cool, what he decided to do with it. And so Christopher Nolan just did his thing really, and going back to what I was saying, I just think Dark Knight was a bit overrated, but Heath Ledger done an amazing job. The Best Joker, that film is basically just, the best Joker that's ever been portrayed, even to this day. I think even better than, obviously the Joker movie. So, moving forward, so Marvel did their thing, starting off with Iron Man, going in 2012. So they had their thing set, Kevin Feige knew what he was doing. He had a plan, straightforward. So, and they were doing great. Iron Man was okay. Then you had the Hulk. They were kind of doing their thing as well. So he had it structured, I think. I think Kevin Feige had it more structured, what they were doing. Step by step, slow, bits by bits. Now, when DC was planning to do Man of Steel in 2013, okay, with Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder's director, Christopher Nolan as writer, I thought that worked. I thought that really worked, because Christopher Nolan, I think he's an amazing writer. Not just a director, I think he's an amazing writer as well. And I think him and Zack they work together. They're very good friends in real life. They've worked very closely. Christopher Nolan even said, and Zack even said, when the Zack Snyder did his cut, he showed it to Christopher Nolan, and Christopher Nolan even had a look to see, well, okay, let's have a look at this. And then Christopher Nolan gave you great feedback, so I think that was pretty cool. And Christopher Nolan was even willing to work, when you look at the Zack Snyder cut, the Snyder cut, Christopher Nolan is producer. So they were pretty good friends. So Man of Steel, it worked. It really did work between them. And Henry Cavill, starring Henry Cavill as Superman, Man of Steel, I liked it. It's a very underrated movie. Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan and Henry Cavill done a great job. You had Kevin Costner in there as well. I think it was a great cast and I think it was a good start. Man of Steel is a very underrated movie, very underrated, and I think just at the time people just weren't invested in it as much, people didn't like it as much, but I think more people see it today. I think more people like it, are invested, and it's a shame Henry Cavill it shouldn't have took that long. They should have done a Man of Steel 2, but Warner Brothers wanted to go in a different direction, and I think they wanted to play catch up with Marvel, what they wanted to do, because I think at the time, even at that time, Marvel were doing pretty well, and I think the plans were out what Marvel were doing. They wanted to do this whole group universe Avengers thing, and it was out. So what Warner Brothers decided to do, because Zack even said it made more sense to do Man of Steel 2, and they were going to do Brainiac. But they wanted to play catch up, so they did BVS at the following year. And BVS was, I liked it a lot. It was more of a Batman movie. You know, everyone admitted it. Henry Cavill admitted it. It was more Batman. Ben Affleck done great. You know, the casting was great again. And then, you know, you had little snippets of the Justice League. You had Jason Momoa was casted as Aquaman. And you had, you know, Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. At the time, that was good. I think the casting was great. You had Amber Heard, obviously cast. That was also great. I think, yeah, BVS for me, people didn't like certain things about it. The only thing I didn't like was Doomsday. I think it was just too CGI for me. That's why I just didn't prefer going forward with it. But I think BVS was a good dark movie. I like dark movies. Obviously Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, that was just greatly casted. She gets criticised a lot on her acting, but I think again Zack Snyder done a good job, and it was a good movie. A lot of it was crushed, obviously. Yeah, I think obviously the ultimate cut was much more better because, you know, it was just too long, and Zack Snyder's films are very long, and he just needed to. It was just hard for him to squish it all together because again, remember, it was pushed by Warner Brothers a lot. You know, what could you say about that? Obviously, after BVS, we had the Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad was a mess. It was. You can't deny that. It was just. I think in the beginning, I'm a big fan of David Ayer. David Ayer is a great director, and I think from where he came from and from the films he'd done, he made it much his style, and it was more street, it was more hood. He never really, he'd never done it like James Gunn. I will say James Gunn done it more, the Suicide Squad, we'll go into that later. With James Gunn, he done it more to the comics. David Ayer, not so much. He didn't do it like that. He done it his way, street way. Just look how the costumes are and how it was, just how the Joker was, to be honest. But I heard there was a comic like that. Like again, I think the anime, when you look at the anime of the Suicide Squad, if you watch that movie, that's just perfect how they done it. If you just put that onto screen, it was perfectly done. With Deathstroke and the Joker and Harley Quinn, it just worked perfectly. Because I remember watching the anime version and it was much more better. I even clapped how good it was, to be honest. So, yeah, it just, Suicide Squad didn't work. Again, a lot of interference because again, I think it had to do with the success of Disney and Marvel, what they were doing. Marvel and Disney at that time were just on the roll. They were just killing it, man. Everyone was liking their movies, you know, Captain America, you know, Iron Man, you know, you had Robert Downey Jr., you had Chris Evans, you know, those two were the leaders of the Marvel universe, and it just worked. And I think again, at the time, the people running DC and Warner Brothers, they were just thinking about the money. They weren't really thinking about the product and the story and where it should go and thinking about the audience. Because again, that's all fine if you want to think about the money, but you need to think about, okay, why would people be invested in this? You can't just put a bunch of heroes and just let them just do what they want. No, people want to see a story, especially with these characters. These DC characters are probably, you know, the biggest comic characters of all time. They are the number one. They are bigger than Marvel. Say what you want about them. You talk about Batman and Superman and Joker and, you know, Catwoman. You talk about that whole universe. It's a big deal, DC Comics. It is, really is. That's why Warner Brothers will never ever sell that shit off. Period. Say what you want about them, but if DC get it right, when DC do get it right and Warner Brothers get it right, it's phenomenal. It's just amazing. So you can't deny that. So after the Suicide Squad, we had Wonder Woman. Now, obviously, after, you know, BVS was making good money, but again, audience didn't like it so much. You know, Suicide Squad, people just laughed at it and thought it was a joke. But some people liked it. I liked it generally. But then, you know, Wonder Woman making a good such impact in BVS was awesome, and people wanted to see Gal Gadot. People wanted to see more of that. And Patty Jenkins, right, was the director on that, and Zack Snyder was the writer on that. and it just worked. And luckily, Wonder Woman was really a big hit, especially at the time. Obviously, everything going on at that time because of Harvey Weinstein and you know, the woman movement in Hollywood, everything that was going on, and they needed a good movie like that. And Wonder Woman worked clearly, and I liked Wonder Woman. First time watching it, I wasn't too sure, to be honest. I wasn't too sure. I was thinking, But I was always a fan of Wonder Woman and the comics, and because I remember watching the TV series, and it was pretty cool to watch, and I enjoyed it. And I thought Patty Jenkinson's done a great job, because again, she got fired from Marvel because I think she was going to do the Thor movie, and she got fired from that, and then she done a great job on Wonder Woman, and that it was cool, it was great. And Zack Snyder wrote it, Gal Gadot done a great job. It was good. It was a good solo movie, and I thought from there, I think Warner Brothers knew, okay, we should do solo movies at the moment. But at the time, Justice League was being shot at the time. So what can you do? They couldn't really cancel it, and say, okay, let's just, because they were in production with Justice League. But Justice League was basically nearly done. It was almost coming out in 2017, I think. So, yeah. So Justice League came out in 2017, and Zack Snyder, before the film was done, Zack Snyder was taken off as director, basically sacked, but it was Zack Snyder having a reason to leave the production, because he was willing still to do the production, because obviously his daughter committed suicide, suffering from depression. So that was very sad to hear. But Zack Snyder was willing to still do the project, and it just gave Warner Brothers a reason. And with Hollywood being Hollywood, Warner Brothers being Warner Brothers, and business being business, they took advantage of that. And with Joss Whedon doing the Avengers, Warner Brothers like, we need to do that. Yeah, we need to bring Joss Whedon in. We'll get him to do that. So they brought him in, and Joss Whedon changed a few things. He made it more. Warner Brothers said, look, we want it more funny. We want to just make it this way. Can you do that? Can you tone down on Steppenwolf? Can you do that a little bit? And then what happened? Joss Whedon did what he could do with it, what he felt he could do with it. I'll be honest, man, I'm not a fan of the Joss Whedon cut of the version, but there were small little parts that I did like, the words. When Steppenwolf does say, Kryptonian, I do like that version. I do like when Steppenwolf said that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I thought, but he says it in the Zack Snyder version as well, he says, for Darkseid. But when he says it in the Joss Whedon, it just didn't make no sense in the version, because we did see no Darkseid in that. That was just weird. So that was a mess. And then we had problems with Ray Fisher. He said there was bullying. People didn't see him as a star like Ben Affleck. They didn't treat him well. And then you had Gal Gadot, had issues with Joss Whedon. It was a mess. Sadly, it was toxic, and it just didn't work out. Again, if things weren't looking good for DC, the only good thing they came out from that year was Wonder Woman, especially of the movement of the women and of Hollywood, and saying we take no more. And they needed a good lead woman movie, and Wonder Woman was it perfectly. It just happened to be. 2018, we had Aquaman. Jason Momoa was getting his solo movie, because again, I think DC and Warner Bros. Realised we need solo movies. We're going to continue the DCU universe. We're not going to bother with Superman right now, because again, I remember at the time people were really saying, oh, where's the Man of Steel 2? Where's the Superman movie? Where's the Batman movie? And obviously, with the Batman movie, Ben Affleck was going to star and direct and write in that, and that did not work out so much, So Ben Affleck stepped down. He was just at this time he just said, "Nah, I'm still going to be Batman. I'm just gonna star in it now. I'm just going to star in the Justice League movie. That's it." So, and we didn't know what was going on with his solo movie with Deathstroke, because I think at the time Ben Affleck was so excited to do the Batman. And it's the movie that we'll never get to see. Never say never, but I think I think it would have been awesome. Ben Affleck as Batman was really an amazing thing. It really was. And it's a shame it really didn't work out for him. Again, he was going through personal problems, depression, his marriage, his divorce with Jennifer Garner, I believe. So, you know, again, Ben Affleck's an amazing actor, and he got a lot of shit for when he was cast as Bruce Wayne Batman. And when you saw him in BVS, he proved everyone wrong, you know. So, yeah, so Jason Momoa got to do his movie. Aquaman was a very fun movie. I was really excited to see it. I did like the trailer. I mean, James Wan, I'm a massive fan of James Wan. I think he's great at horror. I like the way he shoots, I do. His camera movements, his camera angles, and the way he likes the camera to be moved. I do like James Wan. I am a really big fan of both of them. Amber Heard, I don't mind. I thought at the time she was pretty cool in the first one. I think it worked for the first one. So Aquaman was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I really did. So after Aquaman, and Aquaman made $1 billion worldwide. Let's not forget that. Aquaman was a big hit. Kids enjoyed it. You know, older people enjoyed it. Families enjoyed it. They found it was a fun movie. And you had Nicole Kidman in it as well. So it was a fun, enjoyable movie. So going on after that, we had Shazam. Shazam was, again, a fun movie, enjoyable movie. I enjoyed it. It was pretty dark. It had its dark moments. I thought it got to a good start. And it's not something I would watch again. I don't think I would even... Actually, I would watch Aquaman again. Number one, I would watch again. But Shazam, I don't think I really would watch it again. I think it was fun. And I've never been a big fan of Shazam. I know, again, and we're going to The Rock. The Rock was always pushing for Black Adam, which we'll get to in a bit later. And obviously I think The Rock was perfect cast for that, to be honest. But Shazam was fun. Enjoyable movie, good cast. You know, you have a lot of good fun in the cinema. But again, when these solo movies were coming out, it wasn't leading into anything. We don't know what we was leading up to. It was just solo movies, to be honest, if you enjoyed them or not. And some of them I enjoyed them. So in 2020, it was announced, I think it was 2020, right, that Batgirl was going to be a movie. And we didn't know what it was going to be. Was it going to be a cinema movie, you know, theatrical movie, or a TV movie that was going to go into streaming? And at the time, I wasn't too excited. And I think Warner Brothers and DC were trying to connect it. I think they wanted to connect it. And it was a decent cast, you know, because with all the CW shows, when you do Batgirl, Batwoman, Supergirl, they've been okay, they're watchable, they really are, and they haven't been nothing on the Penguin level, I would say, and again, we'll get into that later. So, I would say, it kinda, Batgirl was a funny one, and again, I was excited for it. Brendan Fraser, who I'm a massive fan of. I love Brendan Fraser from The Mummy, obviously, and all his movies. I've always been a fan of Brendan Fraser. And when I knew he was going to be a villain, Michael Keaton was going to be in it. I think they wanted that to be their Batman. But again, none of this was really making sense. And I think they wanted Michelle Pfeiffer to be their Catwoman. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. So it just really never made sense. But anyway, we was going to get a Batgirl movie. And it was announced. And we all know what was happened going forward. And again, not just about Batgirl. We was promised a lot of movies. You know, you had Green Lantern. You had apparently they was going to do a Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn movie. All those movies were going to come out at the time, and they just didn't come out. Nightwing as well. Remember that? But none of those movies got forward. So Batgirl was actually pushed really forward. Maybe they thought it was going to be a success just like Wonder Woman. That's why they decided to do it. And going forward, obviously, Warner Brothers and DC were bought by Discovery. And owner of Discovery, he viewed Batgirl and he said, no, I'm not putting that out. No way. I am not putting that out. So he actually cancelled the production. He cancelled it. Literally. I was like, damn. You know. was it really that bad? We're never going to get to know. We really won't know, because they've made it clear that's not going forward, and it was really cancelled. I think it was almost finished, to be honest. I think it was, and it was cancelled. So it's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing that Batgirl movie. I was, because I'm a fan of the whole Batman universe. You know, Batgirl, Batwoman. If you know, whoever you want to do, Nightwing, Robin, Batman, whoever you want to do, it would always be fun to see them on screen and to have them have a good story. But we didn't get to see that. Obviously, the year of 2020, and it was the pandemic. You know, we was going through the pandemic. It was COVID, and I know it started from 2019 COVID. So it was announced we was going to get the Zack Snyder cut. You know, this was pushed for years. I pushed it. I was a fan. I just believe, me being a filmmaker myself, I think Zack Snyder should have just finished his version. I think they should have just kept with it. People didn't like it, people didn't like it. Warner Brothers took a lot of shit for this. They just took a lot of shit. And fans did not just give up. And Zack Snyder didn't give up. Even for me, if I was a director and that happened to me, I probably would have done the same thing. I think there was a time you couldn't do that in the 90s and 80s. I think with social media, that helped Zack Snyder and the fans a lot, because people kept pushing for it. You know, release the Snyder Cut, showing clips, you know, showing pictures and that kind of thing. They just kept pushing for it. And it was an amazing thing. And I'm glad it came forward. I really did, because I was so excited for what the Zack Snyder version was. I was excited for it. Was, you know, you saw how Darkseid was in it. You know, you saw how, you know, Batman. The difference between, you know, Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder's version. Zack Snyder's version was just amazing, and I knew we weren't going to continue it. I didn't know where DC or Warner Bros. Were going to go, but they should have just kept with it. I do think, in my personal opinion, it's better than the Avengers, but it's not better than Avengers, you know, Endgame, like the last Avenger movie. It's not better than that. No way. It just can't be. So, but it's better than the first Avengers. It is. So, I'm glad it came out. I'm glad I got to see it. And it's one of those things where, you know, when the series ends, you just get a teaser. And the teaser of Zack Snyder's verse at the end is just amazing. I think when you see Darkseid and what Darkseid says and the world he's creating, he's coming to Earth, it's just amazing. And he has to stare down with Superman. The only thing I would say I didn't like about Zack Snyder first, we kept making Superman bad. And that's what Zack Snyder's version was seeing. You know, Superman just being bad. And I think Henry Cavill wanted the Superman to be lighter and happier and more graceful. You know what I mean? So, and it made a good hit. Everyone was happy they got to see it. Everyone does prefer it, let's be honest. Everyone does prefer the Zack Snyder cut over the Joss Whedon cut, to be honest. And obviously the year that Justice League came out, the Zack Snyder's version, we had Wonder Woman 84. Now, this was very pushed very hard to do. It's a shame it came through the pandemic era. It is a shame. And what can I say? Wonder Woman 84 was, at the time I liked it, you know. I'm not even going to lie, I enjoyed it. I actually watched it in the cinema. You know, in the UK it was released and I enjoyed it a lot. It was, Gal Gadot was great, Patty Jenkins was great, Pesca Castillo was great, obviously, and I enjoyed it. But I think, again, watching it again, I think a lot of people were right. It was a mess. The story was a mess. You know, it didn't make sense. You know, Thingy coming back to life as well. That was a mess as well, because you're thinking, okay, if he's come back, where's the other body? That never made sense. I don't know. Was it rushed? I don't know. Was it? I think Patty Jacobson, looking back at it, she just thought, yeah, it wasn't quite right. Now, I think when you make a movie, you think it looks good on paper, or maybe it doesn't, and then when you see it on the big screen, because that's happened to me before, you write something, then you shoot something, and you think, yeah, it's not exactly That weren't exactly good. That didn't exactly come out of a plan, to be honest, you know. But it was a flop, it was a mess, and I think, my personal opinion, I think they just didn't know where to go forward with Wonder Woman. Because if they put in the present moment, you're just going to say, where's Batman? Where's Superman? And I think The Flash done that really well. You know, and I think Patty Jenkins just didn't know what to do going forward. So what they did, they wanted to go back to 84 and do something. So, and Cheetah, I think Cheetah deserved a better. She needed to do better development, and that just didn't work. Yeah. Yeah, Wonder Woman, looking back at Wonder Woman 84 was a bit of a sham. And then we had James Gunn. Warner Brothers brought in James Gunn, and they said, hey, you want to do any movie? You choose any movie. Because James Gunn was on a roll over at Marvel, doing Guardian of the Galaxies. He was on a roll, and James Gunn is a good director. He can make an audience laugh, cry. He could do that really well and feel emotion, and he knows how to put comedy in. I will give him that. James Gunn, and he's very forward. If you look at Peacemaker and how he's writing it, you could tell when you see a James Gunn movie, to be honest. So they gave him the Suicide Squad. He wanted to do the Suicide Squad. He wanted all these characters to come in. I don't think he wanted to do Superman at the time, because with all the toxic going on at DC with the fans, with Warner Brothers, it was a mess. And again, they didn't know what to do. So James Gunn did his thing. Again, I think the Suicide Squad is better because it's more comic, it's more to the comics, it's more story. Yeah, Viola Davis, who does an amazing job. Harley Quinn looked much more better in the Squad. I liked her costume more. It was more, yeah, this is DC, this is the Suicide Squad, basically. These are villains. It was more better. The villain weren't so great, but I think for the Suicide Squad, it's hard to have a villain to do that. You know, you need a good villain to come in. I think James Gunn just thought it's best not to bring in the Joker. That was a bit of a cold area. What, you know, should you bring him in? Should you mention him? You know, Batman doesn't get mentioned. You know, they wanted to use Deadshot, obviously, because Will Smith did not want to come back as Deathstroke. And you had Idris Elba, who came in, and I thought he was cool. And you had the Peacemaker. It kind of made John Cena do his thing and all that as well. So it made John Cena into a bigger star, I would say. John Cena was a massive star already, but when he did Peacemaker, people wanted to see more of that. And then, obviously, the TV series Peacemaker came out, and that was pretty cool. I really liked that as well. Told you, this is a long journey of what DC were just on, and I enjoyed it a lot. I found it really funny, and I just knew it was James Gunn. This was just so James Gunn. Very similar to the Suicide Squad, and it was a hit. And I think when you saw the Justice League at the end, I think that was put in there by the studio. I think the studio said, hey, look. Again, you just didn't know where it was going. What were Warner Brothers doing? So again, I think it was very hit and miss. So let's talk about what was the big hits for DC. So I would say Wonder Woman. I would say BVS was a big hit financially, and Man of Steel was a hit because it was a good start and it is very underrated. And I would say Zack Snyder's Justice League was a hit because we got justice and we got given what we wanted. To see Zack Snyder's version and to get what we wanted was great. Obviously, the Suicide Squad was financially bad, but I think it was a good movie. James Gunn's version. And I think The Peacemaker was a big hit with the TV series, because it showed that, okay, we can do some TV stuff with DC and the DCU. So I think that was a big hit as well. And just what James Gunn done with it, again, he's good at what he does, and it worked. Him and John Cena really worked well on that project, so it made more sense. So I think they were the big hits. Obviously, the others weren't so much. You know, when Wonder Woman 84 happened and Joss Whedon's cut came out, and then you had Suicide Squad, David Ayer, it was bad. I know I would love to see the Ayer cut, I do, I really would. And it's a shame because Joe Leto is a great actor. I like Joe Leto. I think he takes a lot of shit for what he did, and he's gone down as the worst Joker. It's sad to see that. It is really sad to see that. So obviously, it was announced that Ben Affleck was not gonna do no more Batman. He just removed himself from DCU and everything. He said he weren't gonna be Batman anymore. Whatever they decide to do with it, he was not going to do it anymore. That was his decision. So when Matt Reeves came on board, Matt Reeves just had to go to just do what he wanted to do. He didn't really want to connect it with the DCU. He wanted to do his own thing, which I was pretty disappointed on, you know, and Ben Affleck leaving. But I have always been a Matt Reeves fan. I think he's a great director, an amazing director. I like that he likes his dark movies. The Planets of the Apes, when he did them, were great. So I've liked his films from the jump, from when he first started, to be honest. So when he was going to do the Batman, and when I saw the trailer, and obviously Robert Pattinson, my version of Robert Pattinson, I always knew he was a good actor. He was just one of those guys. He's an artist. He's an actor, and he would be willing to do anything. And he's in the league of Heath Ledger's. So I never thought he was a Twilight boy. So I never thought that, to be honest. So I always thought he's an actor and he can do it, and he played it off well. I like to see him more of Bruce Wayne, because he was more of a younger Bruce Wayne. So I thought he done a great job there, to be honest. And I loved the Batman. What an amazing movie. When it came out, amazing movie. Dark, gritty, you know. I'm glad, you know, they did the Riddler. They gave the Riddler some justice, you know. Shame we never got to see Riddler in a costume or anything like that, like we would see him in the comics. But and I like Zoe Kravitz. She done great as Catwoman. You know, I don't think you would ever beat Michelle Pfeiffer, to be honest. What Tim Burton and Michelle Pfeiffer done with that was just pure gold. And Michael Keaton, that was just for gold, and it was just so Tim Burton, to be honest. I love it till this day. Michelle Pfeiffer will always be my favourite and best Catwoman ever, period. You know, I don't think no one would top that. But Zoe Kravitz done a great job, you know. Anne Hathaway done alright, you know. Anne Hathaway didn't really do much, you know. She looked good, she could move like Catwoman, she was flexible, and it kept more to the story about, you know. But the thing is, yeah, Zoe Kravitz, I think, again, she done great. And remember, we got to go back, she was black, you know. I don't really care about the race thing, but yeah. So the Batman was a great movie. So that was a massive hit as well. People were really happy to see it. When that came out, I really enjoyed it, because that's another high as well, when the Batman came out as well. So people wanted to see more of it, because, and the Penguin, Colin Farrell, obviously he done an amazing job, and obviously he went on to do his TV series. Following after Batman, we had Shazam. Shazam came out, which was not much people were excited for it. I was like, yeah. It took a while, that's why. It took too long. With them doing Shazam and Aquaman 2, it took too long. The sequels came out too long. And again, people were thinking, where's Man of Steel? Where is it? And it took too long. What can you say? And Shazam 2, what can I say? I think with Wonder Woman being in it, it was forced at the end. And the boy was older. It was just took too long. He was like 18 now, and at the time he was a bit younger. And I think the first one is better than the second one. But I enjoyed it, guys. I really enjoyed it. So, but again, I knew we weren't going nowhere. Financially, it did do well. People just weren't investing in it at the same time. Because by this time, I think James Gunn was told, and we were told, should I say, he was going to take over DCU. He was going to have a new slate. It's going to be brand new, and he's going to do it his way. And then, so when Shazam came out, following Blue Beetle as well, that's why financially they were flopped. They just didn't work, unfortunately. And I enjoyed those movies. I enjoyed Blue Beetle going on to that. I found Blue Beetle very entertaining. I wouldn't watch it again. I haven't watched it again. But I think I would. Actually, I would. Yeah, I would watch Blue Beetle again. But I wouldn't watch Shazam 2 again. I just didn't find that. It's too forced. I love the cast. I do. I love the hell out of the cast then. But number one was better for me. Maybe because it was just more darker. Yeah. And then we go into The Flash. Now, I was very excited for The Flash. You know, with everyone talking about it at the time, you know, I think looking back at it now, I think a lot of people were just hyping it up because obviously Ezra Miller, all the drama that was going on with him, you know, the stuff he was doing. It's a shame because he's a very talented actor as well. And to this day, you know, in 2024, I hope he's got the help he is. Obviously, I'm not sure if he's quit Hollywood or he's just not getting the work. It's a shame when you're going through something in your personal life, and I hope he is getting the help that he's getting, obviously. And The Flash I really enjoyed. I did enjoy it. I think they did what they could do with it, to be honest. I think, you know, they kind of were making it Justice League and connected with it. You know, when you saw Batman and Wonder Woman at the beginning, and then them being mentioned. Obviously, I loved Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller relationship at the beginning, where he gives them advice and tells them to go and live his life. I think that's an amazing scene. At the beginning, the first part of The Heart is just amazing. You know, you really enjoy it. But then I think when they try to do, you know, go back in time, when they try to do that story, it didn't work so much, I think. Because, look, people were happy to see Michael Keaton. You know, people gave him justice that he just doesn't bend his neck. Like, he can't bend his neck. He does actually move a lot in that, and he does great action scenes in that. And people were to see Michael Keaton as Batman again, I think. It kind of worked. Supergirl really worked really well in that. It's a shame she will never get to... Wouldn't say never, never say never. You know, she never got to portray Supergirl again, sorry. Because I think she done a great job. I really liked that Supergirl. It was cut very short with her and Michael Keaton, you know, fighting off, you know, the villains. But Flash was an okay movie. I think the first half probably was the best. Then it was just kind of going downhill. The effects and everything was great about it. Again, financially, weren't great. Because again, I think at this time we were told, you know, James Gunn was taking over, so people thought, why do we need to invest? And people gave up on DC at this time. They really did. It wasn't going nowhere. It just wasn't, unfortunately. Nothing to say. What else can you say, to be honest? The last of this universe, of this Zack Snyder, of the old DCU, you know, the old Warner Brothers, was Aquaman 2, The Last Kingdom, which was, again, financially, it weren't going to do great, because what harmed this movie, I think, the movie weren't so bad. It was going to be a bad movie. What made it worse, I think, was the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. With it being shown on TV, Amber Heard being exploited, you know, the way we saw Amber Heard, the way, you know, the whole trial that was, and Jason Momoa, you know, just going to behind the scenes with that, and James Gunn, there was just too much drama with that. That's why I think people weren't invested, and Amber Heard scenes were cut. I think they were more cut, to be honest. I think if this never happened, if that trial never happened, everything was fine, Amber Heard would have played a big part in that. And I think the movie and the story would have went differently, but it didn't, unfortunately. So, yeah, it was what it was. They had to put it out anyway. It was too far gone. And like I said, even in the trailer, they cut Amber Heard out a lot. Like, she went on to have a baby and everything, and I think they just didn't have care for her anymore. And I think Jason Momoa knew it was the end. Amber Heard definitely knew it was the end, you know. Even if it was a success and they decided to do number one, she probably was going to be recast. Because after that trial, it wasn't the same. People weren't going to look at Aquaman 2 the same. Because remember, when number one came out, it wasn't so bad when it came out. I think number 2, more stuff came out, the trial kicked in more, it was being more talked about, her and Johnny Depp and everything. So, yeah, that's a shame. So that was the DCEU. That's how it all began. Started from there up until now. So up until now we have James Gunn. He's taken over and he's starting off with Superman. And that comes out next year, 2025, summertime, I believe. And then obviously we get Peacemaker after that. And he's got all these shows coming. His shows and movies coming. But I think with James Gunn, he wants to build the whole Kryptonian world with Supergirl and Superman. So we'll see how that goes. I believe, my honest opinion about James Gunn, he's a good filmmaker. He can do serious stuff and he can do dark stuff. And people believe he's just going to put stupid stuff in, make it too silly, make it too funny. I think he'll balance it. I think he will make it seriously. And I think he's going to do the best he can with it. I think he just wants to work on the Kryptonian world so far. And I think he's going to do his best job to just stick to the comics. And I don't think he was a fan of Zack Snyder's version. But that's fine. If you're not a fan and he believes he's going to make his Superman this way, that's all filmmakers. All filmmakers should be different, because what's the point being a filmmaker then? We can't all be the same. We should all make it the way we want to make it. That's what makes an artist, to be honest. So I think James Gunn is going to do a good job in his own way. Some of us might not enjoy it, some of us might enjoy it. We'll see what happens. Superman needs to be a big hit financially and with audience and with fans for it to be a universe to where we decide to do. It is sad he's going a different direction. I would have liked to seen Darkseid and the Justice League. I don't think he's going to do any Justice League so far. Not the Justice League we want anyway. I think it's going to be very, very different. And he's got this vision and how he wants to do it. He's doing some anime as well, which is connected. He says it's always going to be connected. I think with Matt Reeves, he's given his own thing to do. Joker, I still need to see Joker 2, to be honest. I haven't seen it. I wasn't a fan of the first Joker, to be honest. I wasn't. I weren't really a great fan, to be honest. I just thought the ending was good, and I thought the score, the music was good at the end. I've even got it on my playlist, to be honest. I think with the Joker, it was just a guy that just had mental health issues and was just going around that had problems. I didn't really see it as the Joker. You know, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, and he is, but I'm just not a fan of the Joker movie. You know, and I like Todd Phillips. I like Todd Phillips, man. I like his comedies, Hangover and Old School. Remember those movies? So I think he's a good filmmaker. What I've seen from Joker 2, the clips, it does look like it's beautifully shot. So we'll see. We'll see if it's good. But yeah, he's got all them doing their own thing, and James Gunn's just going to do his DCU universe. You know, I'm looking forward to who's going to be Batman. I'm still waiting to who's going to cast as Batman. And, you know, I'm not too keen on the story, bringing the Sun into it and Damian into it. Again, that's something James Gunn would do. I couldn't see no other filmmaker doing that. I couldn't see Matt Reeves doing that. I couldn't see Christopher Nolan doing that. I couldn't see Zack Snyder doing that. Only someone like James Gunn would do that. You know, Batman Beyond. So we'll see. I think they're all great projects. Superman looks decent. The cast looks good. It does. I know there's a lot of cameos and people just think, is this more of a cameo instead of a Superman movie? To a certain degree, I think James Gunn he's getting a lot of shit, because obviously he's putting his friends and his wife into the movies. But if that's what he wants to do, look, that doesn't bother me. If you deliver a great story and I'm invested and the movie's great and I want to see more, I'm not bothered, and then your actors do a great job and I believe they are these characters, then why wouldn't I? I don't care, to be honest, but that's what I believe. I think he's just doing his own version, creating this own world. You know, because remember now, Marvel's not doing so great. This might be DC's time, because Marvel was way ahead in the beginning. Let's just get that forward. It was way ahead. DC were not. DC was just a mess. It had some points, but they were a mess. And now DC could be looking up, because I think Warner Brothers and Discovery and DC, they want someone to know their comics, and I think James Gunn is that kind of guy, to make it fun for all families and to make it mature and a bit adulty and dark for some audiences. I think he can mix the both, you know what I mean? Obviously, he can't do as dark as Zack, I don't think, and people like Tim Burton and Matt Reeves, I don't think he would, because that's really not his criteria. But I think he knows how to mixture the both, and we'll see with Superman. I'm more excited for Supergirl, to be honest, because I think Supergirl will probably be better than Superman, you know. And who's been cast today just looks great. She's a great actress. She was great in Games of Thrones as well. So I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. But this was a bit of a long video. I did just wanted to just go through the DCEU and the DCU really just to go through it, because this video has been playing on my mind to do for a while now, and it was just something I really wanted to do because I'm a big fan, and at the time I really wanted DC to do well. I really wanted to really just keep going, and I kept going to the cinemas to watch the movies, and it just wasn't working, man, unfortunately. And behind the scenes, it was just a mess. And I think one thing James Gunn said, a lot of actors and a lot of directors were just being fucked around. They were. And I just hope to see greatness, because I am a massive fan of this universe of the DCU. I'm a DC fan. Come on, guys, man. I just want them to do great, and I hope they do. And I'm looking forward to Superman. I will do a review on the Penguin. That'll be a separate video, but that is good. Colin Farrell, you did your thing, man. But yeah, that'll be another video. But yeah, man. So thank you for watching this video, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs like. And you know what did you lot think of the DCEU, of the whole mess from the beginning? What did you lot think of it, man? Did you just think it's over? Do you think James Gunn's really gonna top it? Do you reckon this is it now? DC are really gonna get it right? Or do you think people just don't care about comic book movies anymore? Let me know your thoughts, man. I want to hear what you lot are saying, man, because this is our last chance. This is DC's last chance. So let's get it.